If you actually disagree with me, what movies have you seen? What up, everyone? It's your boy Floz MG, and welcome back to another episode of Tear Up. And this time, we are going to be ranking Disney animated movies. I've ranked Pixar movies in the past. I think I ranked DreamWorks movies in the past. I don't know. If I hadn't yet, I'll do that in the future. But for now, we are finally going to be ranking Disney animated movies. And because there's a lot of them, I'm going to have to split this up into parts and into ones that I have seen. So for now, just bear with me in this one. The rankings for this video are as follows. God tier, Once Upon a Time, Walt approved, straight to DVD, and cancel. And like I said, obviously, with there being so many Disney animated movies, there are clearly some that I have not seen, or just don't retain enough knowledge of to even care, really. But for now, we are first going to start with Snow White. Everyone knows the story of Snow White and the Seven Dwarves. She's a beautiful little princess whose mother is angry that she is not the fairest in all the land. So she tries to create multiple ways to kill this little girl, so she will be the fairest in all the land. Very evil. And the dwarves, they do everything they can to shelter and protect her. And that about sums it up. And this was also the very first animated movie that Disney had ever done. So, I actually don't know where that's gonna land, because I'm not the biggest Snow White fan. But at the same time, it's the one that started it all. I think with that information, I might have to put it in Walt approved. I don't like it enough to put it any higher, but it's also not bad enough to put it any lower. Sure. Next up, we have the story of Pinocchio. Pinocchio is a puppet who, I guess, I was about to say who wished he was a real boy, which I guess technically he did later on. But his creator, Mr. Geppetto, wished that he would become a real boy. So he became a living and talking puppet. That's something that I feel like a genie would do. They would take what you want and skew it a little bit. But either way, they gave the Disney version a much happier ending than the actual tale. Because in the actual tale, Pinocchio hung himself. Yeah! Now imagine that in a Disney animation movie. But, like, if I could choose any Disney movie to watch, Pinocchio would be very, very low on that list. I'm not saying I would never even watch it. I'm just saying it's very low on that list for me. It's not bad enough to be put in canceled. We'll put it in straight to DVD. Because I feel like a few of these movies, now that I think about it, actually did go straight to DVD. I don't know which ones, but I'm pretty sure. Was DVD even around when some of these were made? I know DVD was not even around when Snow White was made. VHS wasn't around when Snow White was made. I'm trying to think like when these were made and when the VHS/DVD were created, because I actually don't know. I had no concept of time. Either way, next up we have the story of Dumbo, the elephant with the gigantic ears that he can use to fly. He's a flying elephant. I will say I do not remember much about this movie other than that he is a flying elephant, and I think I've seen the entire thing through maybe once in my whole life, and the only time I've seen him fly was like toward the end of the movie. That's the only time I can even remember. I'm gonna say this, Dumbo, it is not one of my favorites. If I had to choose any movie, Dumbo is probably the bottom of that list, if maybe not even on that list, in all honesty. I do not like Dumbo. To me, it's a Dumbo movie. Cancel it. Sorry. Next up, we have Bambi. Next up, we have a movie that, if they make this into live action, it could be pretty gruesome. we got Bambi. Bambi, if I remember correctly, the story about a deer who lost her mother in a hunting, I was about to say mishap, but now that I think about it, killing a deer while hunting is actually what you're supposed to do. So it's certainly not a mishap now, is it? But Bambi lose mother. Bambi go through life alone. Bambi meet woodland creature friends. Bambi live happily ever after. I don't know. I'm guessing. I don't think I've seen the whole movie all the way through. And I don't know why, but with me, a lot of movies that are like centered around animals that are like very early on, those ones, they don't resonate with me as much. I don't feel as much of a connection with them. So Bambi, you're kind of along the same lines as Dumbo. Sorry to all Bambi fans, but I don't give a shit. Next up we have Cinderella. I think this is the first actual Disney princess movie that I can remember watching all the way through anyway, because I was forced to endure it in my younger elementary school years. And I don't even have sisters or anything like that. I was still forced to endure it by my mom, my mama, my aunt, all that shit. I don't know why I look so disgusted. Cinderella, the story of a girl who has been abused by her stepmother and cruel stepsisters, who is met by a fairy godmother who grants her wish to go to the royal ball and meet the prince of her dreams. But everything goes to shit at midnight. She leaves behind a shoe. The prince finds the shoe and says, "The woman whose foot fits the shoe shall be my bride." I start to think he has a foot fetish. But as a movie, I mean, it is a good movie. I cannot deny it that. I'm gonna be honest. The only moments of that movie that I enjoyed watching were the ones with the talking mice. Those are the only parts of the movie that I enjoyed watching. So I might have to put Cinderella up in Once Upon a Time. Because I mean, sure. Next up, we have Alice in Wonderland. If you watch this movie and didn't think that you were tripping massive balls, were we watching the same movie? Because I'm pretty sure a lot of things that went on in this movie were like based around drugs or some shit. There was literally like a caterpillar or something who puffed smoke into her face or some shit. A Mad Hatter who I'm pretty sure was high off cocaine. But yeah, Alice in Wonderland, that's definitely... If you ask me to name any sort of plot points in that movie, I got nothing. I got nothing for you. To me, it's actually kind of along the same lines of Bambi and Dumbo. Alice in Wonderland, I'm sorry, but you don't stick out to me. You just don't stick out to me, I'm sorry. Oh, this is a good one. This next one is a good one. Next up, we have Peter Pan. This one. Now, if you ask me anything about this movie, I can tell you it like that. Peter Pan, the story of a boy from Neverland who never ages, where time never passes, finds 3 siblings from England, kidnaps them, brings them to his make-believe land, and they're being hunted by pirates. That's Cliff Notes version anyway. But this movie, yep, I don't need to deliberate anymore. I know where it's going. It's going up into the gotea. It's going up into the gotea. Next up, and remember what I said before about movies with animals being like the main shit or whatever? Lady and the Tramp. I can remember a little bit more about it than either Dumbo or Bambi, because I think Lady and the Tramp I have seen all the way through maybe once or twice, so I actually might be along the same lines as Dumbo. But, I mean, like, everyone knows the goddamn spaghetti scene. Everyone knows the goddamn spaghetti scene. Actually, no, I think that one iconic scene may drag it out of canceled for me. But yet, still bring it straight to DVD. I mean, sure, why not? Next up, this is also one that I have seen more than probably a few of these other princess movies. This is Sleeping Beauty, which for the longest time, I thought this and Snow White was the same story for some reason. Because, I mean, princess who falls asleep and is awoken by true love's kiss or some shit. To me, that's all the plot points you need for it to be the exact same story. Sleeping Beauty, the moments in this movie that I enjoyed the most were the ones with like the 3 fairy godmother witch type of people. It was like, which was like, what were their names? Flora, Fauna, Merryweather, or some shit like that. And also for the longest time, I thought Merryweather was a dude. Alright. But Merryweather was my favorite because blue. So I actually might put this along the same lines as Cinderella. And you know, I will put it along the same lines as Cinderella and Once Upon a Time. Or Once Upon a Dream or some shit. I don't remember. Next up, 101 Dalmatians. I'd say the most memorable thing about this movie was the villain. Cruella de Vil, Cruella de Vil. If she doesn't scare you, no evil thing will. To see her is to take a sudden chill. Cruella, Cruella de Vil. I swear that if I get copywritten, I will be amazingly... I was trying to think of a word that rhymes with written. The only words that came to my mind were bitten and smitten. That shows just how well I did in English. But I think the iconic villain in Cruella de Vil is definitely going to be enough to bring 101 Dalmatians out of canceled and up to straight to DVD for me. I feel like that's the only thing that's going to be able to bring a movie about like that centers around the animals like that out of canceled for me. A really iconic villain. Next up we have Jungle Book. This one is kind of borderline between the two, because like it mainly centers around a lot of talking animals, but the main dude is just a dude who was abandoned in the jungle. Oh wow, what the fuck? I've actually been sitting here for a minute trying to think of something to say about Jungle Book, and I can't even think of anything. The only thing about this movie that comes to mind is bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. I swear if I get a stupid copyright, I'm gonna lose my mind. But other than that, I know I can't think of a single thing about this damn movie. So, sorry, but you're a canceled boy. I couldn't think of shit to say for it. What other shit do I need? I'm just now realizing how many of these damn movies center around animals. Next up, we have the Aristocats. At this point, I feel like they were really stretching. I feel like they were really stretching at this point for something. I mean, Aristocats is a nice pun, but much along the lines of the Jungle Book, I can't remember a single damn thing about this movie. Not a fucking thing. Not a fucking thing. Cancel the damn movie. This next one feels a bit different to me. We have Robin Hood, where, I mean, it is a story about people, but all the people are replaced with animals. I guess it's to make children understand the story a bit more? I don't know. But... yeah, Robin Hood, this I can definitely get behind more than any of the other movies with animals. Would I watch it more than Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty? Did I really just ask that question? Of course I fucking would! It's going to be in the beginning of Once Upon a Time! Not God tier just yet. There are very few which I think are God tier worthy. Very few. Next up we have The Little Mermaid. Little Mermaid, everyone knows the story of the Little Mermaid. It's a story about Ariel, a red-headed Danish mermaid who everyone... I'm not going to say she's a Danish mermaid, actually. It's a Danish tale around this mermaid. Not even going to get into the whole drama about the live-action Little Mermaid movie. I am stepping way back from that. That ain't none of my business. That ain't none of my business. But Little Mermaid, as a movie, I will say... I would watch it more than anything in Once Upon a Time, so I think, by definition, I have to put it in God tier. Because, I mean, process of elimination. Next up, we have Beauty and the Beast. I can't name every single plot point in this other than that there is talking furniture, a beast who used to be a man who falls in love with a pretty lady and has to get her to love him before all the petals fall off of a flower. And I think that's it. That's all I know. I don't think I'd watch Beauty and the Beast more than I would anything in Once Upon a Time, but I would watch it more than Snow White. So we're going to go ahead and put it at the very beginning of Walt Approved. I think this is just proven to you that the further on Disney got in their movies, the more I enjoyed them. because a lot of the like early stuff is in the bottom 2 tiers. But next up, we got Aladdin. The genie alone carried this movie. Robin Williams, perfect performance. Performance. What was that other word I just said? And from what I understand, Robin Williams like made up a bunch of bits that the animators had to go back and make more animations of, if I'm understanding correctly. Live action one, not as good, but like again, Will Smith probably carried it as the genie as well. So basically, one thing we've gathered from this is that in both movies, the genie fucking carried it. So, I don't know if I want to say it's God tier though, because I don't know if I'd watch it more than I would Robin Hood. I'll put it between Robin Hood and Cinderella. That's where I feel like I'll put it. I don't know about that one. This one is much clearer though. This is The Lion King. The Lion King. Disney finally figured out how to make a perfect movie that's centered around animals. They figured out how to make the perfect movie that's centered around animals. And from what I understand, it's supposed to be loosely inspired by Hamlet? Macbeth? One of those ancient Shakespearean plays. To me, Lion King was overall just a perfect movie. So I'm going to go ahead and put Lion King up in God tier. Because like, if you actually disagree with me, what movies have you seen? And lastly, we have Pocahontas, which is far, far different from the actual tale. Far different. Yeah, I can't even go into it. But the movie itself, I think the biggest carrier of this movie was the one musical number where it was like, savages, they aren't even human. Savages, I don't know the other words. And I'm gonna stop doing that before I get fucking copywritten, because I feel like any little note I make is going to get me. But to me, like, in the fact that they also consider this like a princess movie or something, I'm gonna have to put it in the middle of Walt approved, because it's not my forte. And this right here is probably where I am going to end it. So you know what? I've been Floz MG. This has been Tear Up, Disney Animated Movies, and I can't wait to see you all in the next video.